thank the representative of Vietnam for that statement, and I give the floor to the representative of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Allow me to begin by expressing our thanks for the convening of this quarterly open debate. We also express our thanks for the briefing by the United Nations Special Coordinator for the Middle East peace process. And we're grateful for the update provided by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the State of Palestine, and we convey our respects. My delegation aligns itself with the statement delivered by the Republic of Azerbaijan on behalf of the non-aligned movement. Mr. President, once again, we are meeting in this same room to address one of the most painful conflicts facing humanity for more than 75 years. Over this time, without almost anything being done, the suffering of an entire people has been prolonged. But this people has not tired and will never tire of demanding their due rights, the inalienable right to exist, the inalienable right to return to their home, the inalienable right to live in a free, independent, and sovereign state of Palestine. These inalienable rights, however, are trampled day after day by the occupying power. And this occupying power, in light of the inaction of the international community, and particularly in light of the passivity of this Security Council, continues, among other things, to forge ahead with its settlement building and occupation policy, its apartheid policies, as well as its war crimes and crimes against humanity. This is a reality which is the result of a context of impunity perpetrated over time by the most reliable, faithful protector of the Israeli regime, which is at the same time a permanent member of this important body, which as a body is mandated with maintaining international peace and security. In this context, it's worth recalling that just yesterday we were celebrating the International Day for Multilateralism and Diplomacy for Peace. This is an initiative that was presented and spearheaded by my country in the General Assembly in 2018. At that time, the resolution which establishes that day wasn't able to be adopted by consensus in light of the decision of the United States to call for an unexpected vote. The resolution was, however, adopted by the overwhelming majority, against just 2 votes against, the votes of Israel and the United States. This is a reality that was in no way surprising to us. That's because the resolution was fully incompatible with their positions, their principles, and their actions. They have historically, indeed, been enemies of multilateralism, of diplomacy, not to mention of peace. Mr. President, over the past few months, we had hoped that the recent meetings in Aqaba and Sharm el-Sheikh would lay the foundations for the resumption without further delay of a necessary political dialogue and of credible, serious and direct negotiations between the sides. However, Israel chose to deny the opportunity for peace once again. This has been shown in the images that have been seen around the world in recent days when the occupying forces once again stained this month of April without regard for the important dates for the Muslim, Jewish and Christian faith in that time. This through indiscriminate clashes against worshippers and the civilian population in general at the doors of holy temples in flagrant violations of their holiness and of the status quo. It's clear that the situation on the ground has in no way improved since the last time we met, and it continues to worsen day after day. This is confirmed in the reports issued by the UN system. They note that the occupying power has absolutely no intention to bring an end to occupation, that its policies are geared towards taking over complete control of the occupied Palestinian territory, even attempting to change the demographic situation. They confirm that 2022 was one of the most deadly years for the Palestinian people since 2005. They further confirm that the first quarter of this year, 2023, saw a number of Palestinians that was murdered by Israeli forces that is 4 times higher than that number in 2022. The barbarity and brutality of the aggressive Israeli forces continues unabated. The human rights of the Palestinian people continue to be violated systematically and with full impunity. The Palestinian people continue continues to receive discriminatory treatment on their own land. Arbitrary arrests and detentions of innocent civilians and Palestinian journalists continues. The criminalization and detention of human rights defenders and persecutions of Palestinian civil society organizations also continues. The annexation of Palestinian land, settlement building, the evictions policy and the demolition of Palestinian homes continues unchanged. The inflammatory rhetoric that fuels fanatical groups and that fosters inter alia the commission of hate crimes and attacks on religious sites by settlers and Israeli security forces also continue, as do the situations of collective punishment, such as in the Gaza Strip. Mr. President, well, the outlook is definitively not very encouraging. And even though some would prefer not to say this publicly, this is a reality grounded on probable facts that represents a flagrant, systematic and grotesque violation of the precepts contained in the United Nations Charter and of the most basic norms of international law. Perhaps this is the best example for why the rules-based order should be dismantled, this rules-based order that the United States and its allies so boast and attempt to impose. This is an order based on exceptionalism, unilateralism, supremacy, double standards, and accommodating interpretations, accommodating of their own international obligations. These questions, these issues are in no way aligned with the founding charter of our organization. The only accepted rules accepted by the whole of the international community for their own conduct and their own relations. From this rostrum, we call for an end to be brought to the prevailing cycle of impunity that for years has only emboldened Israel to continue with its crimes. We call for those responsible for so much pain and suffering to be brought to justice. We call for international protection to be provided to the Palestinian people. We call for a guarantee for respect of the UN Charter and the full implementation of all resolutions adopted by this Security Council. We call for an end to be brought to any unilateral measure or action which has the potential to escalate tensions or to destroy a political outcome and to further prolong the conflict. The Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, for its part, will continue to steadfastly support all international efforts aimed at achieving a fair, comprehensive, lasting peace to the Palestinian question on the basis of the two-state solution, living side by side in peace and security. It is time for the Palestinian people to live and not just to coexist or merely to survive on its ancestral land that is today illegally and occupied illegally and by force by Israel. It's time for the promise for peace, justice and freedom contained in the UN Charter to be a reality for this heroic people, demanding their inalienable right to self-determination and to the achievement of their legitimate national aspirations in their free, independent, sovereign state of Palestine behind 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as their capital and as a fully fledged member of our organization. Mr. President, finally, we wish to conclude our statement recognizing the most recent progress in some Middle East dynamics. This includes the normalization of diplomatic relations between the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the regularization of diplomatic relations between the Syrian Arab Republic and some members of the region. We hope that these positive developments will extend to Israel and Palestine. We're sure that that would positively impact the calls for peace and justice of all peoples from the Middle East, including the noble Palestinian people. And we call for the withdrawal of Israel from the Syrian Golan and from all Arab territories that are illegally occupied. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela for that statement, and I give the floor to the representative of